Nobody could tell me the impact of not having Greenlaw. Hopefully it's not for the whole year. Larry was saying he thinks it might be, or why would you risk it? No biscuit. But Evan, just think about things changing. And that, sometimes your defense is your best offense. Well, offense is your best defense. No Aiyuk and no Greenlaw. That is definitely not the team that was in Vegas taking on the Chiefs.
No, and I think because of everything we're discussing, like the theme of this year has to be urgency. And compared to the Deebo Samuel contract and the Nick Bosa contract, I know they went on for longer, and they might have felt, I guess, publicly to be a little more at odds. Like, I don't feel a lot of urgency from the 49ers with Brandon Aiyuk. Like, I just don't. I don't think there's any urgency to get this deal done unless he acquiesces to them. This reported offer of $26 million signals to me that the Niners are very comfortable just waiting until Brandon Aiyuk eventually gives in. I don't feel like the Niners have any reason right now, because of their first-round pick, because of the way that Brandon Aiyuk is used, because they got other guys that can step up and they might be able to figure things. I just don't think there's any urgency right now from the 49ers to get Brandon Aiyuk paid. And that, to me, from his standpoint, would feel like a little bit of a slight, because I was reportedly your number one offseason priority. John Lynch has talked extensively about how much he loves Aiyuk and how much he wants him here for the future. He wants him to be a 49er. I ain't feeling it.
Man.
I just ain't.
And you know what, Evan? I won't forget the day last week, last week before McCaffrey's deal got done. And the reason I bring this up is the word that you just used, urgency. Before you even brought it to my attention that McCaffrey has no more guaranteed money, by the time I sat in my seat, there was a new deal.
Snap the
like
fingers.
Domino's Pizza back in the day, 30 minutes or it's free. Like that thing was done.
4.
You know what I mean, Evan?
Yeah.
And now if I'm Aiyuk, again, I'm not trying to tell my boss or employer I'm more important than Evan, but I do got to say this doesn't seem fair when it was since draft night. I'm possibly here, I'm possibly not. And I'm going to ask you another quick question here about Aiyuk and Lynch here. But, Evan, I could honestly feel a guy saying, you know what? That kind of pissed me off that Evan's deal just came out of the middle of nowhere, and there was urgency galore on that, and you guys just sniffing mine, giving me the 26 if that's factual.
Well, you were the one that I thought put it perfectly right when the news came out. Like when it broke on Tuesday and you and FP were on air, I thought you hit the nail on the head, which was, did McCaffrey just jump the line?
And it wasn't his intent. You know what I mean? But the organization spoke volumes on what they thought and who they thought was more important.
And I don't think it was unfair. Like, it's not unfair for Christian McCaffrey to jump the line. He is, I think, if you look at all the positions in football, McCaffrey from number 1 to number 2, that's the widest gap of any position group in football. McCaffrey's the best running back in football, and then who's number 2? I'll wait.
Wow, yeah.
As opposed to defensive end, even quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. But I don't think the gap between him and whoever you have as the second best is as wide as Christian McCaffrey to the second best running back in football. So that means that it's not unfair for him to jump the line. But that also doesn't mean that Brandon Aiyuk can't take offense to that or can't wonder, maybe not take offense, but might not wonder, okay, well, if they're going to get that done, 2 days after the rumors are coming out about him being unhappy, well, this weekend, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN says that Trent Williams is perhaps unhappy, and there are whispers of him wanting a new contract. He's got 3 years left. Does he jump the line? Because if I'm Aiyuk, I might expect the 49ers to just deal with that right now. Because Trent Williams, I believe, is a bigger priority to an offensive line that has nobody else on it than to Brandon Aiyuk, whose wide receiver room just got bigger via the first-round pick of the draft.
No doubt. Evan, it's almost genius and expected now. If I were, you talk about leverage, Trent Williams, to hell with my 3 years. If I pulled that move or play that move that I'm unhappy, if I'm Brandon Aiyuk in his camp, that's bad news. If this little noise or whisper that he wants a new deal, like I would tell Brandon right now, hey, bud, I know, like I could see Trent getting a new deal before Brandon. And at that juncture, I would almost tell him, this is the one where you can't take personal, right? You are right. That state of the offensive line has been Trent line or bust. Without him protecting Brock Purdy's blind side, oh my God, Evan, that's leverage galore.
Well, and we had Emmanuel Acho come on this station during the season and say the MVP of the 49ers is Trent Williams.
Family.
No, I don't believe that he necessarily was.
But he said that.
Well, he wasn't saying Brandon Aiyuk was. Now, Brandon Aiyuk didn't miss games, but he also wasn't saying Deebo Samuel was. I mean, we saw Brock Purdy without his left tackle. We saw how Christian McCaffrey ran a little bit without his left tackle. There's a massive difference.
I'm going to say, before I want to ask you this quick question.
Talk to me.
I'm going Christmas night against the Ravens, the Niners, where it got ugly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't used to the Niners offense looking like that. And, they put up some numbers, but Evan, that thing was a TKO to me. Do you think Brandon Aiyuk scares opposing defensive? Like, do you think defensive coordinators are like, man, we got to go in there? Like, I'm torn because I really believe this dude's a baller. But Evan, there's got to be the Niners are they're saying something by not meeting this number early and letting this get what I believe is messy.
I'll say this.
Does he scare you?
The 49ers offense puts fear into the hearts of opposing DCs. Brandon Aiyuk is a part of the 49ers offense. But Brandon Aiyuk, the individual, does not put fear into the opposing heart of a defensive coordinator.
Justin Jefferson does?
Justin Jefferson does.
Cooper Kupp?
Tyreek Hill does.
Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase can.
CeeDee Lamb?
When he's got his quarterback.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb.
Who's about to get some ducketeer. Him and Chase.
I think, and CeeDee Lamb, and maybe Aiyuk is waiting to see where CeeDee Lamb falls. And then he's going to ask for something closer to that. And I think the 49ers' response is probably still the same, which is
26.
We're not budging. We're not moving.
Man, that would spell the end then.
And it is because of that. I mean, Christian McCaffrey puts fear into the hearts of opponents. Trent Williams puts fear into the heart of opponents. I don't know if Brock Purdy does yet, but he's moving in that direction. I don't know if Deebo Samuel does. I don't know if Brandon Aiyuk does. I don't know if Ricky Pearsall doesn't yet. But again, like that wide receiving core together, those weapons together, I don't think George Kittle puts fear into the hearts of opposing DCs. But together, the offense does. And that is, to me, the biggest piece of leverage that Aiyuk has to hold over the Niners. That if I'm not a part of your offense next year, you as a group don't put fear into the hearts of opposing DCs. With me, we do. Without me, we don't.
What if Kyle says, you know what, Brandon? We're ready to face that battle. We haven't won with you. And just look at what Kansas City did to our wideouts, which you were a part of. Like, I wonder if Kyle's kind of salivating at the bit, like, let me show you life goes on without you, 11.
Well, and then
that's why I think 26 is fair. It's easy for me to say, Evan. I'm like, man, I just hope Aiyuk is not thinking he's worth 30 or 28.
Well, he might not think he's worth 30, but maybe he thinks he's worth the extra couple million. Maybe he thinks he's worth Jalen Waddle, who right now is at 28. I think that's a fair ask for him. This is from the 510 on the Xfinity Mobile text line from Chris A. in Oakland. BA wouldn't strike fear in me if I was a DC. I'm worried about Christian McCaffrey, Purdy, Deebo, then Kittle before I think about BA. I think it depends on the day. And that's part of why the offense is so dangerous, is because it could be Aiyuk's day. I mean, he had like a $150 against the Buccaneers. Yeah. That was his day. Christian McCaffrey's going to have 150 scrimmage yards. That's his day. Deebo Samuel had 3 touchdowns against Philadelphia. That's his day. But it's not Brandon Aiyuk's day for 17 weeks.
And that's the difference.
And that's why they're saying you're worth